All right, so next up we're going to look at how to solve a system by substitution. This one has a lot of options here. We've got two equations, two unknowns. We're going to pick whichever one of the two equations and solve it for one of the two variables. And it's really your choice as to which equation to use, which variable to solve for. Once we do that, we're going to substitute that expression into the other equation. That really should say expression, which then gives you an equation, one variable. So for instance, here in our example here, because I don't want to deal with fractions, I'm going to solve the first equation for y, and I'm going to do that by subtracting 5 from both sides and adding y to both sides. So we've got y equals 3x minus 5. And then we're going to substitute that in for y in the second equation. So we've got x plus y, right, equals a half, but instead of y, we're going to substitute in what we found that y is equal to, 3x minus 5. All right, and then we're going to simplify. We now have, it's just in x's, so we're going to solve for the remaining variable. We're going to solve for x. So we've got x plus 3x, that's 4x, minus 5 equals a half. So 4x equals 5 and a half. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's 11 halves, and x is equal then to 11 over, we're going to divide both sides by 4, so 11 eighths. So we've got that solved for, and then our last step, we've got to go back and solve for solve for y. And we're going to do that. We can substitute into either of the two equations now that we have x solved for. So in this case, might be a little bit easier to do it with equation 2. So we would have 11 eighths plus y equals 1 half. So y is going to be 1 half minus 11 eighths, which is going to be 4 eighths minus 11 eighths, which will be what, 7 eighths. So there we go. We have our solution. X equals 11 eighths. Y equals, that should be a negative 7 eighths. Right? So, and the other thing that is a good habit to get into is to go graph and make sure you have the correct answer, that you didn't make any mistakes. And so if we go over to GeoGebra, and you can see I've put in the 3x minus y equals 5, that's the blue line. And then I've got x plus y equals 1 half, that's the gray line. And our intersection point here, you can see we are at 1.375, which I think, let's see what 11 eighths is, 1.375, and negative 0.875, which is negative 7 eighths. So we did do our problem correctly. So next up, we're going to talk about elimination. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in its own video.